I have like a pile of journals. And so it's a way for me to express myself without worrying about anybody judging me or trying to fix me or not listening or anything like that. It's just me.
And I guess then on the negative side, I guess the one emotion that I've had the most difficulty with is anger. Mm-hmm. And allowing them myself to be engaged in other people's mischief.
I feel like we suppressed ourselves just as women. Generations, like our mothers suppressed their feelings, so they taught us to suppress that. And I feel like the more we suppress our feelings, the more we actually don't know what we really feel.
Everybody knows that something's not right if they're feeling that way, and sometimes people just don't know where to turn to. They don't know if they can go to a family member because they don't know if they can trust them with expressing themselves. And so if you don't know how to figure it out, just know that there's somebody out there that can.
That's my song. Well, it was my song when I was younger, but I felt like Destiny Child's Emotion was the perfect way to open today's episode because we're talking about exactly that. But I'm Sierra, the host and founder of C Notes, and this episode is Feel It to Heal It. And that's all about managing emotions. Let me say this up front. Emotions are not the problem. They're gifts. Tools God gave us to navigate this human experience. They're not the enemy. They just need direction. The problem isn't that we feel. It's that we've given emotions too much power, just like we do with money, like time. Those things were never meant to control us. They were meant to be managed, not worship. But we end up worshiping without even noticing. That's why I don't teach anger management. I teach emotion management because anger is not the problem. Neither is jealousy or sadness or fear. There's no such thing as good or bad emotion. Emotions are messengers. That's it. And when you ignore the message, that's when things get chaotic. When I used to teach court ordered, or when I used to teach court mandated anger management, I began to notice the pattern. People weren't in trouble because they were angry. They were in trouble because they reacted before they understood what they were really even feeling. Because most of the time when I hear the story, I'm like, that sounds like this, or that sounds like this. But it becomes a cycle for all of us, I'll say, even myself. You experience something, you feel something, you react. But what's missing in the middle is the pause, process, then respond. So think about this. This example I've been using a lot with everybody. I've been telling everybody this example. But let's just say, I'm going to say my best friend, so y'all won't take it personal, I guess. I don't know. But my best friend graduates college, and I start to feel a little jealousy. Now, when you're not aware of your emotions, you might start, I'm going to say hating or throwing shade or whatever y'all calling it these days. But here goes how a lot of y'all react. I'm sorry, because it's not me. But here's how a lot of people do act. She thinks she's better than me now that she got her little degree. And y'all know when people in their feelings, everything is little. But yeah, she thinks she better than me. I could have been up there if I wanted to, like she, But the thing is, if you really sit back and you really reflect and process what you feel, you know that it has nothing to do with her. And I'll tell everybody, whenever emotions arises, it has nothing to do with the other person and everything to do with you. Because what you really experiencing is, dang, I could have been on that stage with her, but I didn't. I let life, I let emotions, I let people and situations get in the way of me getting on that stage with her. But the thing about life, because I love life, y'all. Well, y'all be like, life be life, and it does, and I love it. keep on life in life. Okay. But anyways, what the great part of life is, we're all here to experience this human experience. And because my best friend has now graduated college, I can ask her for guidance. I can, because I never done this, but she has. And if she cares about me like I care about her, she's going to help me walk me through that. And now I'm not going to struggle as much as she probably did when she went through that experience. That's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be learning from each other. But instead, we let the emotions take control. That's what we do. But the thing I say about emotions, you can feel jealous and still be proud. And you can say, friend, I'm so proud of you, and low-key jealous because I know I could have been right there with you. That's truth. That's friendship. That's healing. And let me just say, anger. Martin Luther King started a movement out of anger, and Gandhi did too. They both started movements because they were angry at how their people were being treated by systems. They didn't suppress their feelings. They used them to change, I'll say, the world. They changed the nation, a society. But they made a big change. And even us just seeing it, and because those movements were movements in a nonviolent way. But that's what I really want for all of you. I want you guys to be able to use those emotions and see them as superpowers. I've been telling all my clients, that's why I got on this, my Spider-Man shirt. But I say emotions are your spidey senses. Like, emotions are how you feel danger. Emotions are how you feel alignment. They're how God gets your attention, okay? But if you ignore them or let them run wild, you miss the message completely. Let's talk about the Garden of Eden. I don't believe God removed us from Eden. I believe we stopped seeing it. We let shame, fear, and guilt blind us. The garden, it's still here. The peace, still here. The creator, still here. We just stopped listening to what's inside. And I get this in therapy all the time. Sierra, I just want to be happy. And friends, family, so many people now are coming to me and talking to me, or I'm coming to them and talking to them. I just be talking, y'all. I've been saying that a lot. That's my new saying. I just be talking. But in those conversations that I be having with people, I hear this a lot. I just want to be happy, or I want to just get this off my chest, or I've been waiting to talk to somebody like me. I'm just saying God's favorite child over here. No, but for real. The truth is, you don't want to be happy all the time. You want to be at peace. And this is what I talk about in my book. I say, when a loved one dies, you don't want to feel happy. You want to be at peace. Peace that you love them, right? Peace that you said everything you needed to say. Because peace and sadness can exist at the same time. Just like love and disappointment. Just like joy and grief. People always ask, do I really need to say everything I feel? And I'm like, yes, you do. I mean, I do. I don't want to live with regrets. I don't want to say, man, I wish I would have said that, or I wish I would have did that, or, that causes anxiety. But also, regrets come from that silence, half truths and lies. That's what I tell people. Like, sometimes not saying something is you living a lie. And staying in silence and pretending like something didn't happen is a regret too. And I've been talking about my childhood a lot and just reflecting on my life because, man, God, I just love my life so much. And I've been telling people how, and people have been telling me too, like, what really saved me, I feel like, from my environment was my love for books first and foremost. And like, I just went to Arkansas this weekend to see my family and for my mom and my grandmother's birthday. And everyone telling me, like, while all the other kids are outside, you was in your books. And if I wasn't in my books, y'all, I was watching Disney. And in those shows, I'm telling y'all, I just was telling those kids, when they had a problem, they went to the guidance counselor and they went to go talk to somebody. And that's why my favorite cliche in the world is closed mouths don't get fed. So when I was having issues, I went to the guidance counselor. I went to go talk to somebody. I never did traditional therapy, but I did reach out for help. My library supervisor, my supervisor from when I was in probation, like I always ask questions and for guidance. And I didn't really even see how that was helping shape my life, but it did a lot. And another thing that helped me a lot was those Disney movies. So I say all that to say, y'all know that song from Frozen that everybody
have to be concealed, don't feel, don't let them know.
Everybody loves. Let go, because that's what we got to do. We got to let go of those emotions. But it's also a part of the song that I know so many people can resonate with, that conceal, don't feel. But yeah, we got to stop concealing those feelings. We've done that enough. And people don't even realize when you stop concealing, you can start healing. So let's get into today's conversation. All about feel it to heal it. And yeah, let's get to these guests. So I feel like emotions is a hard thing for a lot of people to process. I feel like emotions is what's holding a lot of people back and thriving in life. But can you tell me about your experience and how you manage your emotions?
So for me, it is still hard to deal with emotions, but I am very spiritual, and so I pray a lot. I do a lot of journaling, but I read the Bible, and I know that pent up emotions can cause a lot of chaos in your life, can cause a lot of confusion in your life, can cause you to be angry for unnecessary reasons. And I've learned that you have to deal with your emotions. You can't just like sweep them under the rug. And so, although I don't talk to a bunch of people, especially about my emotions, I do a lot of praying. I talk to God a lot, so that I can release those things, so that they aren't pent up, so that they don't affect my decision making, because emotions can also affect your decision making. And so I just find release, especially in writing. I have like a pile of journals. And so it's a way for me to express myself without worrying about anybody judging me or trying to fix me or not listening or anything like that. It's just me and God, and I just write. I do a lot of writing.
No, I think that's great. I always recommend journaling to everybody, because a lot of times we do hold in so much, I'll say mentally, physically, all of that, and we have to get it out. We have to release it, because like you said, emotions can control our lives. A lot of people respond and react, I'll say, based off their emotions, and they're letting their emotions control them. I would say, is there experience that you feel like helped you, I don't know, like, I need to do something different when it comes to emotions?
There's been a lot of experiences. I would say the one that affected me the most was the death of my sister. Mm-hmm. And so having to take that hurt and that pain and not know what to do with it, it's like pent up, and it builds up and it builds up, and it's like, how do I release this? You know what I mean? It's like very, very hard to lose. Like, you lose people all the time, but when it's like someone that close. So for 3 years, I was emotionless. After she died, I didn't have really any emotion. I didn't deal with her death. I didn't grieve. I just kind of took it and I just kept moving. Like, if I keep moving, I won't think about it. If I keep moving, I won't look for her. If I keep moving, I don't have to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Right. And so, But then it came to the end of that 3 years and I crashed. And it was like I was sinking so bad, and it was like I was sinking in emotion. And listening to people like, oh, time heals all wounds, and like everybody has so much to say, but like until you lose a sibling or until you lose someone that close to you, you really can't give anyone any advice.
I mean, in general, I feel like we all deal with grief and these emotions differently.
Absolutely.
The only way you can do is, I feel like the only way you can support somebody is just to be there. Like, you can't tell them how to do it. It's their journey, and
Absolutely.
they have to take it alone, honestly. And it's a lifelong journey. It's not something that happens overnight.
Time does not heal all wounds. I'll let you guys know that now.
Hopefully, if you're working through it, it just helps you be able to, I'll say, navigate and respond and just be okay with it in your own way.
What is time?
Well, I'm just saying, like, in general.
No, I'm saying, because people say that, like, time, but what is time? Because how does that help me navigate the loss?
Because I'm going to say, yeah, you're right, because everybody's on a different journey. So I may have learned a lot from dealing with this big grief, but the other ones, you know, I don't say one is more or less, but like, I feel like it does depend on a relationship too. But being able to learn something from some experience at once, whatever that time is for you, because that looks different for everybody.
Absolutely. I think, so in that 3 years,
That looks like
in that 3 years, I ran from everything. I ran from God. I ran from people. And I literally did not want to deal with her not being there. So I shut everything out. But I was still emotional. I couldn't talk about her. I would talk about her and I would break down like so bad. And I don't know if it's because of the way that she passed or what it was, but that emotion took me to a place. I was angry and I was filled with hatred, and it was all bad. It was dark. It was very dark for me. And I stopped going to church. I was drinking. It was like nothing mattered. Those emotions, like I was like, I have to suppress this. So anything that I can do to not deal with that, right? So somebody prayed for me. And when that person prayed for me, it was like the light just shined like so bright. Like, I need to get there to that light. And if I can get there, I can deal with this. And so it was in that 4th year where I was back in church and I was under great leadership and I was able to deal with it. I never went to grief counseling, which I feel like I still should eventually make it there, because it's still touchy, but it doesn't, like, I don't shut down. I don't like get so emotional where I cry and can't talk. Like, my mom still deals with depression from it. When we go to funerals, she sees my sister at every funeral. And so I'm past that part, because like in that first 3 years, it was like everybody that died was at the same funeral home in the same room. And I was like, what is this? Why am I coming to this same funeral home? Is this the only funeral home in Chicago? But I started a not-for-profit in honor of her that deals with domestic violence, that deals with just being afraid to have a voice. And so the Carla Michelle Foundation focuses on getting people out of those situations, being the support system for people dealing with domestic violence, for people to get the counseling that they need, reunite people with their families, find transitional housing, help them to become entrepreneurs or get back in the work field. But also we deal with the youth that go through that same type of situation and they don't have outlets, and people don't think they go through stuff because it's not them. But we try to target those people and help them be stronger and speak out and become survivors instead of victims. And so I turned the pain and the emotion into something powerful, and I empower women and I empower men and children and whoever goes through it to recognize it. Because some people be like, oh, well, he don't hit me. And they don't understand that, like, it's not just the hitting, it's financial, it's the emotional, it's the mental, it's the verbal. Like, they don't think that, like, oh, he cussed me out, that's okay, we cuss each other out. Well, no, that's not okay. So that helped me to get past the emotion of her not being here. So I just let her name live on. I started a private school, the Carla Michelle School of Excellence, to help children, the ones that CPS don't want. Those are the ones I want. Those are the ones that I want to help excel, the ones that have behavior issues, the ones that have mental issues, the ones that the system turns their backs on and they end up out in the street. I want to grab a hold of them while they're young so they can thrive,
Because it does. I feel like it definitely matters. Especially with domestic violence, I feel like we have to start in the schools, like teaching them younger and younger, like just about dating and like these behaviors are not normal. And recognizing those behaviors. So it's good that I feel like, through that experience, you were able to learn how to process, because even them, like, they need to learn how to process their emotions and not run from them.
And society has messed especially Black children, they have messed them up so bad because they tell men, oh, you don't cry, that's for girls. Well, then what are they supposed to do? They hurt just like they're human. And so stop telling them that they can't cry. Tell them, cry, let it out. Like, I have 2 sons that are adults, and I tell them, like, you can cry. I don't care what nobody told you, cry. And I just told my youngest son, like, deal with your emotions. Don't sweep them under the rug, because I swept mine under the rug so much that it wasn't a rug anymore. It was a hill, and the hill turned into a mountain. And at some point, you can't get over it without dealing with it. So you got to clean from under the rug. And so I told him, just pray. Prayer is one of the most profound things that you can do to deal with your emotions. So I told him, cry, scream, shout. Don't let anybody tell you how to deal with your emotions, because they need to be dealt with. Otherwise, they'll deal with you.
I definitely like that. That's true. But is there a message you want to leave the audience in regards to just emotions and managing your emotions?
If I can leave them any message as far as your emotions go, don't hold on to them. It's not okay to hold on to them. Your emotions can lead to health problems, mental, physical health problems. And they can also make you someone that you don't want to be. Like, your pent up and built up emotions turn you into a monster. And I was there. I was so mean. Like, even to my children, I was mean. In my relationship, I was mean. My family, I was mean. Like, and they didn't understand, like, because I wasn't talking about it. I was like, I got this. I'm strong. I'm the strong one. So I'm gonna just deal with it. But when that stuff gets so heavy, and you can't deal with it, you gotta let it go. So if you are having a hard time dealing with emotions, I would say go to your pastor, go to your leaders, go to your therapist, go to your counselors, and talk to somebody. Don't be afraid to talk to somebody. Say, oh, I can't go to therapy because I'm not crazy. And you're going to be crazy if you don't go deal with it. Like, it's going to drive you to a place where, like, you can't mentally focus. You know what I mean? Because it's like, everything, like, everywhere you go, it's like you start to see those things that's affecting your emotions, like, everywhere. And so just be okay with prayer, be okay with talking to God, be okay with talking to counselors, therapists, pastors, like someone that you trust and has your best interest at heart, and release those things.
I I agree. Release them with the journaling, or you can start there.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Because that'll help you feel comfortable. Okay, I can release it a little bit. Now I know it's somebody in your life you can turn to that.
Absolutely.
Support you. But
I journal about everything. So I was like, it's not even just emotions. I have a journal for literally everything.
But it's good to journal. Like I tell people, like at the end of the day, I just feel like that's the best to release, because you don't want to carry that.
Even if it's just for a moment.
Yeah, it don't have to be 10 pages.
Yeah, just to get whatever it is off until you can get to someone that can help you.
No,
so absolutely.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
Emotions. Originally, I was going to name it anger management, but I'm like, I don't even call my anger management classes anger management, because most of the time it's not even anger. That's just what most people label it as. So I feel like it's important to know about emotions and regulating it and just managing them.
Yeah.
So can you tell me about your experience with emotions and how you manage them?
Well, I would say the revelation of emotions was high on my spectrum for 2024, because I was just dealing with that, just a lot of stuff. And so for me, my emotions has just been me just wanting to be in a space where I didn't want to show them.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it's either you, the man, they tell you, girl, you ain't supposed to show no emotions, or you're the strong Black woman trying to hide them and then releasing them behind closed doors when nobody's watching. And so for me, I've been on a roller coaster with emotions literally all 2024, and I had to deal with those. And so it's okay for you to release emotions, but I think so many people carry so much stuff that they feel like, I want to say the primary emotions are anger, sadness, and all these things. So a person can be like, I'm really angry. And it's like, are you really angry? And it's like, what's the deeper emotion behind that? And so you got the primary and the secondary emotions. And so if you are angry, it's like, are you really angry? And it's like, are you really humiliated? Are you really, all these different things. So I think it's really important to dive into what that looks like, meaning having the time to process. Because a lot of times we are just walking through life reacting, and we're not responding to life. We're just reacting based off our emotions, and we can hold in a lot of resentment, which I think forgiveness is key to everything.
Yeah.
But we can hold in anger, we can hold in resentment, we can hold in bitterness and all these different things. But for me personally, I have dealt with emotions in a way where I like to hold stuff in. Now, I hold it in, but I didn't lash out. I just would hold it in to the point where I just would just release, behind closed doors, and then, whatever. But people used to always say, like, dang, like, she looks so mean. And, some of that stuff can come out. And so I'm like, I'm not mean, just get to know me, But I just think that people need to truly understand what it is to process emotions. A lot of people are, again, just quick to react, and they don't understand why they're reacting. It's just a default setting.
It is. I feel like that is. It's the default setting in life. Yeah. Most people are just going through life. We all gonna feel emotions no matter what. We can't escape them. But I feel like because we haven't been taught how to handle them, that's why the default setting is react right away. If you feel something, react, versus like, why am I feeling like this? And even if you can't or don't know what you're feeling, because I will say, I would rather not label it at all. And I'll just I know I'm feeling some intense emotions. And hopefully you don't let it get to that intensity where you do, I'm not gonna say explode, because me, I'm very much so similar to you. I used to hold in my emotions. I held in so much until I couldn't, and then I'll say I had a explosion. Not a lot, because I feel like I was capable of holding in a lot, but I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. And it's simply just stating how you feel, even if you can't I really feel some type of way about whatever XYZ. And if you need to take the time, I need to take the time to process it, and I can come back, because you got to come back. You got to deal with it.
Because if you don't, it's going to show up in your body, whether it's going to show up as a physical symptom or you just vomiting it out. And again, I always go back to the alignment of self. Like I say, you're out. Think about a car. You're driving a car and your car is out of alignment. You're going to go left and and you got to get to the shop. So you can be right there in the middle and you can take control. And it's the same thing with yourself, your body. Like if you are you're angry, you're upset, you're all these different things and you're holding it in. You holding it in is you not being able to express. And so if I can't express, that means I'm holding all this stuff in and it has no place to go. So it's either going to show up as a physical pain. Sometimes that could be a heart attack. If you don't, if it gets to that point, it could be a headache. You have physical symptoms, or you could just walk through with heaviness in life.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're not a person that's angry, you might walk around with heaviness, sadness, and whatever. So,
and to the extreme, death. People don't know. Also, all that type of stuff, it can lead to death. But I love that you just brought up the that car analogy. I really love that. I feel like throughout recording these episodes, it's been a very much so central theme, self. And it was hard for me to I wanted to make the audience understand, and I feel like that is the perfect example because, like you said, if we're out of alignment with self, we're all over the place. And just being in alignment, it'll help you. You're in the driver's seat, not your emotions, not these situations, because when you're not in the driver's seat, you're all over the place. And by you being in alignment, you working on yourself and you making sure you're good, it does help the whole environment. It helps everybody around you because you being out of alignment, now you're hitting this cart. You hitting this. So working on self is not selfish. It's not any of that. It does help you to be a better driver. It helps you to be better for others. So I'm happy that you brought that up.
It allows you to show up in the space like you need to. And I feel like a lot of people are walking around with these heavy emotions and some people honestly they don't know why they show up as themselves. And it's like if you really honestly just take the time to really understand what that is, and I feel like some people don't even know how to do that. They don't know how to do that. They don't. That's why
I feel like we gotta, and this is my way. I feel like in yours, helping people, like, let's work on ourselves. It doesn't have to be as heavy as you allowing these things, like the grief, even the sexual abuse, all of the things, the relationships, family. You don't have to carry all of that with you.
Yeah, exactly.
But is there a message you want to leave to the audience in regards to emotion management or regulating emotions?
Yeah, I would say with the car analogy that I just provided, because a lot of people, again, they don't know whether, if they're out of alignment or not. But everybody knows that something's not right if, they're feeling that way. And sometimes people just don't know where to turn to. They don't know if they can go to a family member because they don't know if they can trust them with expressing themselves. And so if you don't know how to figure it out, just know that there's somebody out there that can. So if that looks like enlisting the help through a therapist or a life coach, or just asking somebody like, hey, this is what I'm going through. Can you show me or tell me who I can lean on to help me through this? I think it's just important to just simply ask and just get the help that
closed mouths don't get fed. That's our time. It goes a long way. But thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, emotions. Emotions are a lot to deal with, I'll say, most people on this earth. But can you tell me how you are able to manage your emotions?
So yes, emotions is definitely something that a lot of us actually, I think that we didn't grow up knowing how to deal with.
Yes, that's what I tell everybody.
And it's, man, like after years of really researching and learning, the way I've learned to manage my emotions is by learning who I am and the way that I function.
Yeah.
I believe that we all function differently. And because of that, it's important to find out like what way best works for you. And the way that it works for me, that is basically sitting down with myself and then going basically in my shell. Sometimes, it may take me a couple days to figure out how I really feel, So I like to journal sometimes and just write down things, like pinpoint, because sometimes we may feel a way and we don't even remember it. So when I write it down, I'm able to actually see what is that even really what I'm feeling, because when we react so fast, nine times out of 10, that's not really what we're feeling. So when I sit down with myself, I'm able to reflect and just actually really see how I feel. And then I like to communicate. And I feel like that comes out a little bit better because, like in my past, when I didn't communicate, when I didn't, sit down with myself, it came out very bad. Like, I feel like when we don't sit down and actually reflect and, sit within, dig deep, then we communicating the wrong way. So I think just sitting down with myself and actually figuring out what my true feelings are helps me a lot, for sure.
Yeah, I like that. You said a lot of great things that I recommend to my clients that I speak on almost on a daily, especially journaling. I know journaling may seem cliche, but I'm cliche.
It does.
It works, and people don't understand how much it works. It works a lot because a lot of times, another thing you said, we don't really know how we're feeling and we're going based off our reactions. And sometimes, I'll say for the most part, and this is why I called this episode Emotion Management, which everybody think they have anger issues. I have a lot of people who come to me and say, they say, I want to work on my anger. I have anger issues. And when we really get to talking, I'm like, it don't even be seeming like you angry. It's frustration. It's disappointment.
Yes, frustrations. I feel like we suppressed ourselves just as women. Generations, like our mothers suppressed their feelings, so they taught us to suppress that. I feel like the more we suppress our feelings, the more we actually don't know what we really feel, and the more we communicate and talk about. Like, that's one thing I love about having a therapist, is that you get to get this stuff out. Like I feel like we hold so much stuff with things within us that we never really get to know what we really feel.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that suppression thing, that was something else that I wanted to mention. A lot of people do suppress, and a lot of people don't know how to express their emotions because we wasn't raised to, and we wasn't taught to. Yes. And I tell everybody, we're only taught the basic emotions: happy, sad, mad, glad.
I mean, how can they teach us if they're telling us that we're not even allowed to?
That you're too sensitive and boys don't cry, and those things carry with us for a long time. And I try to tell people that it definitely does.
It stays in that DNA. It's in that subconscious, for sure.
Yeah. I'm so happy though. Like I said, you said a lot, and even I'll give you an example. I have multiple clients who have said this, like their child, very, very young, under 5, say, "Mommy's sad," and instantly mom say, "No, I'm not sad. I'm happy." But I'm like, be honest about how you feel.
Yes, that's okay. Like, I'm very honest with my son. Because I don't think people. What I've realized is that the way our kids learn is through what we actually teach them about honesty. Like, if I'm feeling sad, I should communicate with my child so they can know whether they need to give me space or not. But faking the funk, no. It don't help. It don't do nothing, but because it stays within you. I'm not saying make your child your therapist, but just let them know,
because I've said this, maybe I ain't gonna say a lot, but I know, and I recall me saying to my daughter, like, "Mommy is frustrated. I just need some time and we can come back to this conversation. But right now I can't give you my best." And it is something as simple as that.
I listen, you see how excited I'm like, yes, I get so excited because it's something so simple like that. That literally makes a difference, because you doing that for her is teaching her to learn how to have people respect her space when she's feeling her best. Because my mommy says she's not good, so if I'm not good, I need you to respect my space. Literally.
It is, yeah. And all the teachers say she's like the most emotionally intelligent child that they've met.
I love that. That is so amazing.
And we have a house full of water signs, though. Both my kids are Pisces.
No way.
Yeah. But no, I think it's
They're just screaming over there.
I think it's good though. I think it's great. Emotions is something really big. So I'm happy that you're talking about this with me, with the audience. But I was gonna say, is there anything that you want to leave with the audience or any other messages that you want to leave with us in regards to emotions?
Yes. I think one of the biggest things that I really want to encourage people, if you can see behind me, it's a big astrology wheel. I want to encourage everybody to learn their moon sign. When it comes to emotions, learn your moon sign. Do you know when I started going to therapy? That's what I remember. You mentioned it earlier. People come to you, ask you like, "What's like? I'm angry. What's wrong?" I literally was asking my therapist the same thing. Like, just tell me what's wrong with me. I know something is wrong with me.
Yeah.
But to come find out, my moon sign is in Aries.
Oh yeah.
So that's a fiery, emotion-based, element. And once I learned it, like I learned that because your moon sign also, it lets you know the things that you did not receive as a child. So when you know the things you didn't receive as a child, a lot of reason why we don't know how to deal with our emotions is because we're just really big kids. When you learn to parent yourself, then you know how to deal. And with my moon with Aries, I've been learning. I'm literally reparenting my inner child, and with my moon is fiery. So that means I have to put my energy into activities, into doing something, because I have a lot of emotional energy. Yeah. So now that I know that, because at first I didn't know where to start, but now that I know my moon is in Aries, it's like I've learned how to cultivate and actually like make it work for me as in my adult life. So I truly encourage everybody to learn their moon sign and understand how your emotions, because your moon is your emotions in your zodiac sign. So understanding that literally is going to help you understand yourself, and it's going to help you understand everybody else around you. So
it does. And I think you just said like the most important thing is just learning yourself, and in that, even though that could be taboo, cliche, or whatever, that's a part of learning yourself too.
It's part of
self-development of who you are. It goes a long way. It definitely goes a long way.
Absolutely.
But thank you so much. I really appreciate you sharing your thoughts on emotions. I feel like a lot of people, I don't know if you can take anything away from this conversation we just had, definitely learning yourself in sitting, like you don't always have to respond or react right away. And the more you learn yourself, that gap into I'm feeling this versus response, it gets bigger and bigger. And having the ability to say, and these things are simple, to say, you know what, right now this is a heavily, I'll say, this conversation can become very, very emotional field. So let me take it back and let me take a break and come back. And I'm not saying ignore it, because deal with it. Yeah, but you can take a break.
Yes, be aware that a break is needed and then come back to it. But, reacting, it's time for us to stop reacting with, out of emotions and just blurring things out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
I definitely agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, emotions. I feel like a lot of times most people mislabel emotion, and the most common, I'll say, mislabel emotion is anger. I feel like a lot of people label everything as anger. But can you tell me about your experience with emotions? I'm pretty sure anger may come up, because I just feel like even through like the different things that we experience, grief, job loss, transitions in life, we seem to, like, I'll say, come to terms and saying like, oh, I'm so angry about this loss, or I'm so angry about this transition, when it could be I'm disappointed, or frustrated, or I'm irritable, or So can you tell me about your experience with emotions and how you're able to handle them? I mean, and also poet and creative, if you have a poem or anything like that that you want to share in regards to emotions, we would love to hear.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Again, I generally believe that emotions are neither right nor wrong, but they just are,
Mhm.
and they're kind of signals to us to tell us then what's going on, inside of ourselves. Maybe then an example would be to describe emotions in like clouds, that pass by,
Yeah.
and usually they're more momentary, than experiences. And I guess then on the negative side, I guess the one emotion that I've had the most difficulty with is anger,
Mhm.
and allowing them myself to be engaged in other people's mischief,
Mhm.
and allow other people then to control my reaction, rather than having the control of myself. And I did write a poem that I tried to summarize the experience that I've had with anger in the past. I mean, it's gotten much better than with age, but this poem pretty much then explained the difficulty then that I had, in the past. And the title is called IED, Intermittent Explosive Disorder.
I love
And
that.
it's from my first poetry book, Picturesque Poetry. I'm just like Vincent, but I still got my ear. I'm affected by everything, so I drink a lot of beer. A shield with armor plating and a place to hide still won't protect me from my sensitive side. Letting others hurt me and stoke my anger makes me even madder as I roll around in danger. Stuffing it doesn't work, a volcano I create. Expressing it doesn't work, I overreact in the debate. Damned if I do, damned if I don't. Caught betwixt a rock and a hard place. Trapped like a rat. Surrender I won't. Please, just give me some space.
I love that. I love that so much. I think that was amazing. Yeah. Do you want to tell us more about that, or how you've learned to, I'll say, process and handle those emotions or that anger, I'll say?
Yeah, I think it's, a process of realizing that, my experiencing anger was only hurting me. And if I tried to express it then with other people, the results that I was looking for really didn't happen. So, finally after struggling, then I realized that, that type of anger, and especially rage at times, then is just very, very devastating.
Mhm.
Okay, and it's certainly then not doing myself any good, and can be very, very toxic to other relationships, and can be certainly toxic into the relationship with yourself. And so just kind of through a lot of work and trial and error, just being able then to let go and try to keep myself in balance. And if I feel a flush of anger, then to really give myself some time then before I express myself. And to also at times then to watch then my tone of voice.
Mhm.
The tone of voice at times can be very, very important. So all those things then have been helpful. And again, working in counseling, getting in help there, trying to take care of myself physically, emotionally, spiritually.
Mhm.
All those things have been very, very helpful to me.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll say, kind of wrap up our discussion. You said something earlier. It was an analogy about emotions are similar to clouds. And we're supposed to really just let them pass through. But then it got to this cliche. It made me think about this cliche. A lot of times, most of us don't let the clouds just pass through. A lot of us just, I'll say get stuck in the cloud. And, that saying, like, get your head out the clouds. A lot of people just say I'll say a lot of people just stay so stuck and stagnant in that one cloud, in that emotion, that it becomes them, it consumes them. And now it's navigating their life. It's instead of passing through, you letting that cloud control your entire movement through life. So I love that you brought that up because it just made me go there. But is there any like message you would like to leave the audience in regards to dealing with emotions? Because I also agree with you. I don't think they're a good or a bad thing. It's what we're feeling at the moment. Own it so you won't get stuck in it. But is there something you want to leave the audience?
Right. I think that's a very good point. I think one thing is that one thing that's very, very important, not only with emotions, but with life, then is to be gentle with yourself.
Yes.
And if this is a problem area, give yourself time and get yourself help.
Mm-hmm.
If it's affecting the relationship, again, then with your self and others, and just make a commitment to yourself and to constantly strive to improve.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you for being a part of this discussion. And yeah, thanks.
Thank you for having me.
That was personal. That was a personal one. And I say this episode is a personal one for me because I feel like once I knew I could master managing my emotions, my whole entire life changed. And let me just first say thank you to my guests for their emotional honesty and just their vulnerability and sharing with you guys. I feel like it takes courage and true strength to be vulnerable, especially with the world. Because the world is going to see this. But anyways, I'll just talk about my personal journey. And I've been talking about this, but I was 29 and it was my daughter's dad. I was in a relationship with for almost 7 years, and it was a Saturday. And I found out he had cheated on me. He wasn't there, but I found out he cheated on me, and I called him, and I feel like I did what a lot of people do, maybe women, and playing victim, woe is me, I can't believe you did this, hung up, not hearing nothing that he has to say, not caring what he has to say because I'm the victim and I have all the control right now in this situation. And I went to the closet, probably did what a lot of other people do in this situation. I started packing his stuff. And in the middle of packing his stuff, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I just felt like that was a pattern too, like just doing that whole process, calling, yelling, doing all that, the disrespect, the belittling, all the, and then the packing of the bags and throwing it all out and the yelling, the crying. I just did not want to go down that emotional roller coaster ride for the next couple of weeks. And that was my truth. Like I knew it was going to be some calls back and forth. And then I knew eventually he was going to come back because I knew I wasn't done with the situation. Deep down, that's what I felt in that moment. So I made the call back because I stopped packing his stuff. And I just made the call. I'm like, we need to talk, and I'm like, I already know, like, we haven't neither one of us been happening in this relationship because I wasn't happy. But the difference is, I'll say, I just didn't cheat, but I didn't say anything either. I was just there in misery, honestly. And it was really for my kids. I talked about this before. Like, I stayed because I wanted my kids to have a father, like, in the home that was present. But I wasn't happy. And, we talked and we decided we was going to work it out, and I was like, honestly, at that moment, I didn't process any of it, but this is when I was working as a probation officer. So I had like that hour commute that Monday, and this happened on Saturday. So that Monday I'm driving and I'm just really processing, of course, what happened this weekend. that weekend. And I was just like, man, I'm so proud of myself. Like, I wasn't even thinking about, I can't believe he did that. Like, I didn't think about him at all. I thought about myself in that situation and how I handled it. And I was just like, dang, I'm so proud of myself. Like, literally. And when I got to my job, I started to process the whole situation, and I just started to cry and just think about how I handled that. And I'm like, dang, I can do that. Like, I can handle, like, it just gave me the confidence, honestly, to lead a relationship and to know that, dang, I know I'm capable of so much more. It was really, I don't know, it was eye opener for me. And then I ended up calling him, like, yeah, we gotta have talk, and I'm like, yeah, it's over. And when I hung up, I just cried. I cried for a while, and maybe grieving the relationship, but also I feel like the biggest thing I cried about, I was grieving the old version of myself that I didn't even realize. Like, dang, I knew I was going to start communicating better, but it was a journey. It was a journey, but it was the start of my journey, I would say. And it was just really that I had control. And honestly, the biggest thing was I didn't want to feel that energy. Like, y'all know, when we feel certain emotions, it takes us to a place that we don't want to be. And I'm like, no, I can do something different, and we can't. So now let me tell y'all about someone who else started a movement out of emotion. I'm talking about me. Yeah. I wasn't angry at the world, but similar to MLK and Gandhi, I was frustrated at how my people was being treated. And it was really treatment from self, and how disconnected we've become from ourselves. And that's why I feel like I created C Notes, and I didn't even know C Notes was going to be the brand. But my community that I'm creating for the world is Conscious Creators. And I feel like it was fueled by the frustration, love, and truth, because I don't know if I said this earlier, but usually when we feel emotions don't run alone. They're usually with other things. Like I was saying, when I taught the anger management classes, I started noticing like patterns, and usually it wasn't just anger, or it wasn't anger at all. It could have been frustration. It could have, and you can feel frustration, and you can still feel love, and you can still feel joy, and you can still feel happiness and sadness. Like, sometimes, honestly, when I start meeting new people that I'm talking to, I be feeling all the emotions, and I don't feel like it's a bad thing. Like, honestly, that's just me. But I love feeling feelings, honestly. But I'm also a Cancer and Pisces moon and all that. But I don't know. I now see my emotions as a superpower, and yeah, and I'm using it for the betterment of myself. But anyways, Conscious Creators, I created it with the, I'll say, with the behind the emotion of frustration, and how my people are treating themselves, not loving themselves, not being honest with themselves. But yeah, and also love, because I want to give back. I want to help people get to where they want to be at in life. And also I want to help people find their truth. And connecting myself with MLK and Gandhi. I'm just going to tell y'all, this is funny. I've been telling everybody I get my sense of humor from my creator. I'm just like my creator in the sense of my sense of humor. But I was talking to one of my clients, and she told me to watch this show called House of David. And I tell a lot of people, like, I only read the Bible one time through, and then I just study parts when it's relevant. But I didn't even know who she was talking about when she said it, but she was like, you remind me of David. And then I went to go see it with David and Goliath. And I'm just like, as I'm watching the show, I'm like, why she say I remind her of David? And I'm just like, this is just me, because I'm a jokester, because I'm a bastard. And y'all, when I was coming up with this show, and I didn't even know I was going to talk about this right now, but even when I compare myself to Gandhi and MLK, and And when I watched, well, as soon as I turned on the House of David, I realized it was David and Goliath. And I'm like, how am I, and even, it's just saying like behind every joke is some truth. And I was like, yeah, because I was making myself small and I was making myself dim. And then like, I remember my ex used to be like, you so humble, but as a joke, being sarcastic and I'd be like, man, I started talking to my clients about this, and I'm like, and I'm not trying to say he dimmed my light at all, because he definitely blew that light up. But sometimes people will dim your light, and even yourself. And that's me dimming my light to say I can't be compared to MLK or Gandhi or David. And as I'm watching the show, I didn't even realize it until I started to reflect back to her that I watched the show. And when I did, I was like, dang, I am like David. And I don't want to say David wasn't perfect, but David was flawed, because first of all, this perfection word, I don't like it, but God doesn't create imperfection. And I'm going to keep on saying that. And I'm going to say it loud, because our Creator does not create imperfections. We do, in the belief of trying to follow somebody else's blueprint and believing that we have to. This is what life consists of. Going through childhood, however that was, and graduating high school and going to college and getting that good job and getting a house and getting married and having a kid. That's not the blueprint for everybody. And even that job, I don't even know, but your life is your life. But anyways, back to David being flawed. And y'all know how our Creator doesn't always send the qualified or those who look qualified, but we are definitely qualified. But it was the faith of David that was unshakable. That is very much so like my faith now. I'm telling y'all, the gifts that David possessed, music, poetry, leadership, all of those things, that's same gifts I carry. And once again, I may not look qualified, but I'm walking in purpose, and I'm slaying shame, trauma, silence, not with a sword, but with my voice. My gift from my Creator, and I'm creating. I've been telling people too this, like, we consume so much in life. Movies, TV shows, social media, family problems, drama. We consume material things. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let me just talk about that. I was just recently cleaning my basement. I'm sorry, y'all. I would just be talking sometimes because I'm so excited about my life. And this is almost the end. So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. But y'all, it's some good stuff up in here, okay? So I was cleaning up my basement and I came across this shoebox that was in this container, which is now my memory box. But my shoebox used to be my memory box when I was in high school. And when I was in high school, we used to have those Polaroid cameras and, take them like it's 24 on there. So you had to be very selective of the moments you choose to capture, and then you get them developed. Then you got your letters up in there. That's what I had in my box. But now we have a phone. This phone, it's like no limit to how many photos and videos we can have. We used to didn't even have videos for a while. And I just think about how far we've come and how much we consume, because in the same breath in my phone recently, I had over 30,000 photos and videos. Yeah. And I downloaded this app to just delete it. And at first, because I was having a hard time deleting stuff, and I was just like, I have to let things go. And yeah, because it's just, the more you hold on to stuff, that's you consuming. And it's even within my house. Like, I've never gotten rid of this much stuff, over 10 bags of clothes and shoes, and just donating so much stuff. And when I was thinking about this show, I thought about the TV show. It's an anime. But anyways, you have to let go of your possessions also to become closer to God. I'm going to say, if you are consuming, you are not creating. And if you're not creating, you're not living. And that's just the truth. Our Creator created us to create. That's why we're creations of a Creator. And I think a lot of times we forget that. But I'm just going to say this also. I'm going to get back on track because I'll be getting lost sometimes because I just keep talking. But people always say the opposite of fear is faith, but I believe it's trust. A lot of people still take action in fear, but most of us don't move at all because we don't trust ourselves or God. But you can't build trust without truth. And truth starts with emotional honesty. So if you take nothing from this episode, feel what you need to feel, but don't let it trap you. Let it teach you. Let it lead you. Let it free you. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I believe life can feel like heaven on earth. When I talked about the Garden of Eden earlier, I feel like this, when I said God didn't remove it, he revealed truth. And I don't want to use pronouns, but God revealed truth. And that made us stop being able to see the beauty. The beauty was still there, but we started to see the chaos too. And in that, we just got trapped in seeing chaos and not the beauty. And when I say the beauty, look at how far us as humans have evolved. Like, we didn't have shoes, we didn't have cars and planes and trains and all that good stuff. Like, if I had a baby today, it would take weeks, years, months, depending on where that family lived at in the country, for them to find out. And now I can literally FaceTime them while I deliver. Like, that's how far us humans have evolved. So just imagine us spiritual beings. Like, I'm just so happy about life, honestly. But I'll just say this. Once we start mastering, I'm going to say the 3 things I mentioned earlier, which I connected this to mind, body, soul, mental, physical, spiritual. I feel like once we master emotions, I feel like that is connected to our mental and our mind. That's one step. And then the body, the physical, which I feel like is is money, but it becomes hard because we get distracted in believing that money can buy happiness. Yeah, I know people are like, yeah, I can, it's easy. Okay. Once we master that, and then finally, the last thing I think is spiritual soul. I think that's time. And that's what I'm really working on right now. And I tell people, I'm like, I don't like to be tied down by time. Like, I love days where I'm not looking at my phone. I'm not looking at the time. I'm not scheduled to be here. I'm not scheduled to do anything but just be. Oh, that's what I'm working on right now. And it feels great. Okay. But once you learn to manage those, because a lot of us are letting those control us. Whew, man, when I tell y'all life in heaven on earth, I don't care how y'all feel, but that's how I feel. And you start to not just exist and just be an NPC in this game of life. You start to live. Okay, y'all. Till next time, take care of your emotions. Take care of your soul. And I'm going to end with another Destiny Child song, Survivor.
I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work.
But I'm just going to say this. We survived long enough. Now it's time to live. That's what I've been saying. But all right, y'all. Good night.